everyone. So today we're going to be talking about using the structure of a habit and why we have habits to your advantage. So the structure of a habit has been redefined in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits. It used to be quite simple. It used to just be, okay, we have three parts. We have a cue, and then we have a routine, and we have a reward. That was one that I found when I Googled it. Which is, pretty self-explanatory, cue, routine, reward. But what I loved in James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, was that he took it a bit further. He created this structure for a habit and defined it as cue, craving, response, and reward. So you could probably relate to this in the context of a negative habit. So what that would be is a cue would be that your phone is next to you. So you see your phone near you. And then the response, and then the craving is that you're like maybe a little bit nervous, you're a little bit like bored, and you feel like you need something to distract you. That's the craving. So first thing is the cue, you see the phone. Second thing is the craving, you feel a bit anxious. So the third thing is the response, you grab the phone. And then the last one is the reward. You feel this sense of release and relaxation because you're so distracted from scrolling your phone. I have a lot of experience with this. I'm always on my phone, it's a problem. But anyway, so the way that we can use this for our yoga practice is thinking about this structure. The first part, the cue. The cue is something that you can do in a few different ways. The first one is just like the phone. You can make your yoga practice something that is visual. So you could put your yoga mat in a spot in your room that you can see. So that way when you come into your room, you see the yoga mat and you're like, oh, maybe I should practice yoga. And of course, you could leave your yoga mat on the ground and not actually practice. So that's not a fail-safe idea for this. But another way to use a cue is you can do what's called habit stacking. And habit stacking is a great way to tie your habit that you want to create, that you don't yet have, to one that you already have. And we have so many habits in our day, there's plenty of them that you could use. So you could just think of, okay, well, I get out of bed and my feet touch the ground. And you can decide, okay, well, when my feet touch the ground, that's when I'm going to go to my yoga mat and practice. Or you could tie it to brushing your teeth. So you go and you say, okay, so I'm going to brush my teeth. And then after I brush my teeth, I'm going to go practice yoga. And practicing yoga, like I explained in the first day of this challenge, it doesn't have to be complicated. You can literally just sit down on your mat or on your bed or a pillow and do some breathing. And that's the other thing about this, I would say, that it's really good to start small, like as small as you can possibly go, because I made this mistake myself. When I went to my yoga teacher training, we are practicing a style of yoga that I love called Ashtanga. And Ashtanga is a full hour to an hour and a half sequence. There are actually a few of them, but we were doing the primary series. And the way you practice it is you practice it very regularly, and you end up being able to do all these crazy poses just due to that consistency, right? But the thing is that getting yourself to do an hour of rigorous practice, like very regularly, that you're supposed to do it every day, but I feel like that's a bit much anyway. But I was like, okay, I came out of that yoga teacher training and I was like, I'm going to do Ashtanga all the time. I'm going to be an Ashtanga master. But then it was just too much. It was like that hour-long practice was like looming over my brain, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so hard. And I didn't have those cues and those triggers. Like at the teacher training, we had to go to the room and we were doing it all together and it was like on the schedule. But this time it was just me and my motivation powers, and that was it, and it wasn't working out. So I actually didn't practice Ashtanga for like a year after I came back from my training. So and now I teach Ashtanga. So it ended up working out in the end, but that was just a bit of a example of what happens when you try to bite off more than you can chew. But let's go back to that. So I was talking about our cues. So if you tie this yoga practice to another habit that you have, and you keep it quite small and achievable, not too big, that way you'll be able to get there a bit easier. And then the next one is a craving. So that's why it's helpful, like I mentioned in the motivation video, to think of something that you're trying to achieve through this practice. So for me, I find that I'm drawn to my mat because it helps my mental health. It really improves my mental health. And I work in an office, and if I don't go to yoga, then I won't feel as good during the day. Like, I just won't. Like, it just really helps me mentally. So that's my craving. It really helps me to feel good at work and to just feel good in my life generally. So if you practice yoga, you might not really find that feeling right away. You might be craving that like energetic like boost of energy or relaxation or something like that. And when you really hone in on that feeling that you get, that really helps you to pinpoint that craving in the habit cycle. So after the craving, you have the response. So what are you going to do? So this is where it gets good to develop that routine, that ritual around it. So instead of just being like, okay, well, maybe if I feel the craving, I'll just sit on the bed and meditate, or I'll go to the yoga mat and I'll roll it out and whatever. Like, it's good to have a response to that craving that you have. So it's like, okay, well, I feel stressed, or I feel like I need some energy. Well, I have this yoga mat set up for myself to go and do it here. So, and of course, not everyone has the space for that to do. But I also am aware that I'm a little bit privileged in this regard because I teach yoga at a studio and I can do yoga there when I'm teaching or after, before I teach. But it helps a lot to create a space that's your yoga space, and you do your yoga there and think about the things that make you more comfortable practicing. Like, I know that I prefer to practice when there's not anyone around me. Like, I don't really enjoy anyone looking at me while I practice, so I'd like to, if I'm going to practice on my own, I like to make sure that I get up early in the morning and like make sure that no one's around, because I live with quite a few people, and that way it's a little bit easier for me. And then that way, the response, you go to your mat, and then the last one, which is what we all want, the reward. So then we do a yoga, and after the yoga, we feel really good, or we also feel the sense of satisfaction. I know that I feel this as well. Like, if you're someone who wanted to start yoga, like when I was in university and I was first getting into yoga, I decided to do a challenge for a month at a studio because they had a pass for a month, and I was like, you're going to do yoga consistently for this whole month. And yeah, it's just this sense of satisfaction to have done something good for yourself. And then once that you've completed that first hurdle, it's just this feeling of, I'm doing something good for myself and I feel really good. And it creates this sense of calm and ease and also a bit of energy. It's just great. I was actually just discussing this with one of my students in my Yin class a couple days ago, and she was saying about how Yin Yoga is really perfect for if you need to release your anxiety, and I was saying how Ashtanga is really great for me because I really like that feeling of waking up properly in the morning and stretching my body in every way, and then relaxing and feeling like I'm really coming into my day in a good way. And we were just like, wow, yeah, there's just so many different types of yoga. There's like so many options, and really for everything you could want, there's a type of yoga for it. So yeah, I would say that that's the key. The structure of a habit is that cue, response, and no, it's cue, craving, response, reward. That's what it is. So that way, if you follow this, it will help a lot. And I was chatting with one of our members in the group, and she was saying that she's setting a timer to make sure that or an alarm to say, okay, I'm going to practice at this time every day. And I thought that was a really good way to try to incentivize yourself to take action. Because here's the secret, guys. I am a yoga teacher. I do teach regularly during the week. But I don't always want to practice like in the morning when it's cold and like, oh, I would really like to sleep, you know. Like, I did talk about that driving yourself through joy in the motivation video from yesterday. But that's not to say that there will be times when in your head you'll be like, oh, I just don't want to do it. But then you have this awareness that counteracts that you're going to feel so good when you do it. You're going to feel amazing, and it's going to start your day off so well. And I've experienced the alternative so many times where I don't go, and then the rest of the day I feel way worse. So that's the thing. Those are the types of things that really help to motivate you and help you develop a practice. So anyway, I hope that this structure of habits and ritual type video helped you out today. And I hope that you're doing well in your challenge so far. Please let me know how you're going. I would love to hear from you. I just wanted to let you know that my Instagram is Yoga with Kimmy, so if you want to ask me any questions, you can reply to my emails or direct message me there. I love to hear from you guys, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. See ya. Bye.